Rose Park couple says Salt Lake City's temporary Jordan River trail closure doesn't go far enough.
The once mighty Jordan River, a lifeline that has meandered through the arid lands of the Middle East for millennia, has finally run dry. It didn't trickle to a stop overnight. It was a slow, painful dwindling of a river steeped in history, symbolism, and strategic importance. What was once a flowing testament to the natural vitality of the Levant is now a cracked, barren riverbed. Its parched surface a mosaic of forgotten currents and evaporated legacies. For centuries, this river has not only sustained agricultural lands and quenched the thirst of civilizations, but has stood at the intersection of culture, religion, and geopolitics. Now it lies dry, silent, and eerily exposed. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. What has emerged from the empty bed of the Jordan River is more than just the mud and stone that formed its base. With the retreat of the waters, the river has relinquished its grip on secrets buried beneath its flow. The sediment has given way to relics of forgotten ages, to objects long entombed in silt and silence. The disappearance of the water has effectively peeled back time, revealing layer upon layer of human and natural history. Pottery shards, the remnants of ancient structures, tools fashioned by early settlers, even fossilized plant life. These are beginning to protrude from the riverbed, each one hinting at a forgotten moment in the timeline of the region. Among the most stunning finds is what appears to be the remains of a submerged settlement, long assumed to be legend or hyperbole. Partially carved into the stone banks, this ancient habitation hints at life beside the Jordan River from an era when the landscape was radically different. Structures hewn into rock walls and mud brick foundations, now scorched by the sun, suggest this was more than a temporary camp. It was a permanent presence, perhaps even a thriving riverside community. The architecture, simplistic yet effective, implies a people who knew the land and the rhythm of the river. The silence of the dry channel now echoes with their lost conversations. These ruins are more than just archaeological curiosities. They represent a bridge to times that predate written records in the region. The Jordan River has seen kingdoms rise and fall. Its banks have witnessed migrations, exoduses, baptisms, and battles. Now it plays host to the return of time itself, an involuntary release of evidence long sealed beneath its flow. Coins bearing symbols that have not been in use for centuries have begun to oxidize in the sun. Fragments of ceremonial objects, perhaps used in rituals beside or within the river itself, have emerged with startling clarity, as though they were only just laid there. Equally compelling is the environmental narrative etched into the dry floor of the river. Tree stumps protrude in places where vegetation once thrived under the nourishing presence of water. Fossilized reeds, once swaying with the current, now lay stiff and brittle in the arid heat. Patterns in the cracked earth suggest tidal rhythms, and sediment layers reveal climate oscillations that stretch back thousands of years. Geologists are beginning to analyze the stratigraphy of the riverbed, and the results could reshape our understanding of not only the region's environmental past, but also its future. The immediate visual is one of desolation, but the underlying message is deeply instructive. This is not merely the drying of a river, it is the revelation of a timeline. The Jordan River has effectively become a horizontal archaeological trench, slicing through the ages with each receding drop. The story it tells is not linear but cyclical, and its newly exposed contents act as quiet narrators of change, resilience, and collapse. With water gone, the land around the Jordan is undergoing a swift transformation. Once fertile banks are hardening under the sun, cracks zigzag across former irrigation ditches. Dust devils stir up the remnants of ancient soil. The crops that once relied on the river's seasonal pulses have long struggled, but now, without even the occasional flood, agriculture is reduced to scattered patches supported only by modern irrigation systems, many of which are now proving inadequate or unsustainable. Wildlife that once congregated at the banks or relied on the flow for migration and breeding are vanishing or moving elsewhere. Birdsong is less frequent. The familiar chorus of amphibians has grown still. Entire ecosystems dependent on the seasonal rhythms of the river are now destabilized. The drying has not only erased a waterway, it has sent a shockwave through a delicately balanced natural hierarchy. The predator-prey dynamics are skewed, breeding grounds destroyed, feeding paths disoriented. Yet while the ecological collapse is stark, the human implications are just as profound. The Jordan River has been a cornerstone of regional identity. Towns and cities grew because of it. Borders were drawn with its course in mind, religious pilgrimages centered around it. Entire generations built memories that included its presence. Fishing, swimming, ceremonies, agriculture, travel. Now, with its bed laid bare, a profound sense of disorientation is gripping local populations. The disappearance of the river feels like the erasure of a cultural landmark, a foundation stone pulled from beneath the edifice of shared identity. Political implications are also beginning to ripple outward. The Jordan River has long been a shared resource, though not always peacefully. It is entwined with long-standing water disputes between neighboring countries. For decades, fragile agreements and water-sharing treaties maintained a tentative balance. But now, that balance has evaporated with the river itself. No longer is there a source to divide or allocate. Instead, a vacuum has formed, a gap not just of water but of trust and mutual dependence. The policies that once governed this vital artery have been rendered obsolete. Tensions simmer quietly, fueled by growing desperation and uncertainty. From a symbolic perspective, the drying of the Jordan River strikes a particularly deep chord. It has been central to narratives of purification, transition, and rebirth. To see it desiccated is to experience a kind of collective bereavement. The metaphors once tied to its waters, cleansing, boundary-crossing, divine moments, now feel inverted. The river that once symbolized renewal has become a monument to decline. Spiritual leaders across traditions are grappling with how to interpret the sudden absence of a place once seen as sacred. There is an unease in sermons, in prayers, in religious ceremonies now forced to shift location or significance. Scientific teams are mobilizing to make the most of this unexpected exposure. Paleobotanists are combing through the sediment for pollen samples. Archaeologists are mapping the newly revealed ruins with frantic energy, racing against time and the elements. Engineers are studying the riverbed for any remaining traces of underground water systems. Hydrologists are calculating what can be salvaged from the aquifers that once fed the stream. There's an urgency underpinned by the knowledge that once exposed to air and light, many of these findings could deteriorate rapidly. Already, reports are emerging of looters targeting high-value artifacts, reminders that history, once revealed, becomes vulnerable. Despite its dry state, the Jordan River continues to exert a magnetic pull. People are traveling to the region not to marvel at its waters, but to witness its absence. Tourists, researchers, the faithful, the nostalgic, all walk now across its cracked bed, struck by a blend of awe and melancholy. The void left behind is both literal and figurative. It stretches far beyond geography. It speaks to absence on a human scale. The long-term implications of the Jordan River drying up are layered and multifaceted. It will alter migration patterns, change political alliances, disrupt farming economies, shift religious practices, and demand new engineering paradigms for water management. But right now, in this moment of exposed earth and lifted secrecy, it is history that is speaking the loudest. The river has finally told its story, not with the roar of currents, but with the silence of stone and bone. What has emerged from the dry bed is a collection of echoes, physical and metaphorical, tools carved by people who lived and died before the wheel reached this region, footprints fossilized into silt, only visible now after thousands of years. The remains of boats, wooden hulls barely held together, preserved by water and silt, now crumbling under the open sky. Items of trade, religious emblems, broken weapons, all of them whispers from eras that had been sealed in the river's embrace. In places, deposits of ancient salt crystals shimmer under the punishing sun, creating a surreal illusion of water. But the water is gone, and in its place stands a new kind of mirror. A mirror to the past and a challenge to the future. The Jordan River has stopped flowing, but it is speaking louder than ever before. Its message is not just about what has been lost, but what has been revealed and what must now be reckoned with. And though the implications will unfold in stages, political, ecological, spiritual, historical, the current moment is one of revelation. The riverbed, once hidden, is now a living scroll unfurled across the land. Each artifact, each geological layer, each silent cavity left behind by fish and flow offers another chapter in a saga that began long before modern maps gave the river its name. What lies beneath a river that has flowed for thousands of years? The Jordan, in its final moment of dryness, answers this not with a single truth but with a collage of them. Each relic and ruin a word in a sentence still being pieced together. As the sun beats down on the exposed floor and the wind carves new shapes into the ancient silt, it is clear the river has not gone quietly. In drying, it has become a testament, an archive, and a warning. This moment is not the end, though it feels like it. It is the pause between flows, the intake of breath before history begins again. The Jordan River, gone dry at last, has left behind more than a memory. It has left behind a reckoning. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on the Jordan River finally drying up now? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching and see you next time.